Hi, and welcome back to Forest Hill United Methodist Church's podcast, It Takes a Village. This is Reverend Mandy Neal, and today we are chatting with Amanda Dyer. And Amanda holds two roles, wears two hats here at Forest Hill. She has been the director of children's ministries for a little while, almost probably
a year and a half or so now.
Yeah, time goes quick. And recently stepped into a new role as the director of community engagement. And that's kind of what we're going to focus on today as we look at her role in the Gibson Village project. So, Amanda, tell us a little bit about your history and connection to Forest Hill.
I have been at Forest Hill mostly my whole life. I think I was like 4 when we moved here. So I grew up in the church. And so I've seen a lot of changes in the church, property acquisitions, people, different, ministers and different programs and ideas that kind of have come and gone and evolved and whatnot over the years. It feels like I've been doing children's ministry forever. Like I think I did my first Bible school when I was in college, like helping with that. And it's just been part of what I've done ever since. And now moving into this new community engagement role, I think that's going to be interesting, just kind of see how that plays out. And because we've always been a community-oriented church through lots of our programs and things that we've done. And so it'll be interesting to sort of see how we take this in another direction and another step further.
So we've been talking on the podcast of how everything is still really fluid and we're all trying to just build this as we go. And so we don't always have all the answers. But in your role, in this moment, can you kind of explain a little bit about what the role looks like right now and what you're doing and how you're engaging different people?
Yeah, so right now I'm doing a lot of meetings and talking with people and learning what it looks like to have a farmer's market, learning what it might look like to house or host someone in our kitchen for cooking, rules and regulations and things I never thought I would need to know. So it's a lot of that. And then maybe just thinking through ways that we can engage and learn what the community around the Gibson Village what they need, but maybe more importantly, what they already have that they can bring and, be part of our community. I don't see us as going into their space, right? So much as how can we come alongside what they're already doing, what they already have going on, and help them with what they already have and what they know how to do.
So as we're trying to think about bringing the community in and being a part of the community, kind of one of the first things we're looking at is like a farmer's market or maybe a pop-up market or something around that. Do you have any details you want to share with us?
I don't know a lot. I have learned that apparently we have a shortage of farmers in Cabarrus County. And I also learned that green beans, corn, and tomatoes are considered specialty farming. And who knew that? I think that it's going to be interesting. I think we might get some like backyard gardeners and some smaller gardeners. That might be where we start with people coming in and bringing their food. And hopefully some, maybe some entertainment, somebody playing some music. I've spoken with a lady who has a pop-up pizza oven that's interested in maybe bringing that out, just kind of get some people in and around the space. So it may not look like a traditional farmer's market, and it may look different every week. I'm not really sure how that's what it's going to look like, but it'll be exciting to find out.
So you said you're learning that we don't have a lot of farmers. What else have you learned?
I've learned that there's a lot of wait time. So like when I was in the school system, when I was teaching, like we were always had to be doing, right? Because wait time was bad when you had 6th graders. You didn't want them waiting. But now it's like, find out this piece of information or connect with this person and wait on them to email you back, or connect with this person, but they have to ask 3 other people something. And so it's very different than being in the classroom was. not bad, just different. And it's a different, it's a skill set I didn't know I possessed, but we're learning new things.
That's interesting. So in this whole process, it is kind of like a wait. So it's like we are discerning and we're trying to figure it out, which means we don't have all the answers and we can't just check off the next box. But at the same time, there's that like downtime of waiting and seeing what God brings up and how it
Right.
changes. Because just in talking to you, I know that like what we originally thought this might look like is not necessarily what we think it is going to look like right now. And
Right.
we're still a long way from, what the final version of just even the market is going to look
Sure.
like. So it is a lot of like rethinking and learning and learning something that then changes the outcome in a way that you didn't expect it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's, yeah, it's just been interesting. And I don't think there are things I've just never had to think about that now I'm having to kind of, work through and questions I didn't even know needed asking. And then all of a sudden somebody will tell me one thing and, oh, well, then that means I need to do this thing or contact this person or whatever. So there's a learning curve for me. But I've met some interesting people along the way so far. And so that's been exciting.
So what do you think at this moment, what's the most exciting thing that is happening or the thing that just makes you like, oh, this is great?
I'm excited for the farmers market, but I had a conversation a couple weeks ago with a lady who will potentially use our kitchen. And to hear her story, she, as she walked into the space down at Gibson and looked at the kitchen, she literally had a tear coming down. She was so happy with the prospect that she might be able to use this space, because currently what she's doing is sharing a space with someone that it's just too crowded. It's not working out well for her. And she wants to be able to grow her business, and she can't, with her current situation. So her excitement and she kept, we had a long conversation, and she told me her whole story, and she prays to God every day and asks for these things, and these were some of she feels like some steps towards answering her prayer. And so it was really exciting to see her excited, and knowing that maybe we can help her in some way.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, it feels like a gentle reminder that, like, we are not the only people praying. Like, we are praying about what God will help us to do, but we also acknowledge that there are other people praying for how they can have the things that they need.
Right.
And so that is this really wonderful kind of spiritual practice as community, to realize what are the prayers of
Right.
the community, not just what are the needs, but like what are they actively seeking God to do in their life, and how do we come alongside of that?
Yeah, I think, and I think listening to her, I mean, it goes back to, I don't want to come in and impose my views, I think I know what you need on a community or on a group of people. There are people who are doing great things. They just need a space or an opportunity that hopefully we can come alongside and provide that with.
Yeah, and it's also interesting in terms of the need. So this person who you've talked to, they're really ready to jump on and go too.
Right.
So there's some momentum and excitement about like the community is ready and we're ready, and also we have to make sure that we do the right way, make sure that we have what we need, and so there's all of these moving parts. It's not just, oh, we have a person, oh, we have a kitchen.
Right.
There's some like logistical things that we have to move through.
Yeah, all the permits and the practical things that keep getting in the way of us just going, because I think we could have started the next day. After I met with her, she would have moved in and we would have been like, come on in, we don't know anything, but let's go. And so and she's been really excited about partnering with us in any way that she can. Like, I think it's going to be a good relationship, which is exciting because it's somebody I wouldn't have met had I not, I likely wouldn't have met had I not been in this role and had this opportunity.
So you have met a lot of people over the years as an educator, and then when you went on to school to become a librarian, and you retired how many days ago? Not many.
Officially February 1st, but I was done in December.
So you're newly retired, yes. Which really just translated into a different position here at Forest Hill.
Right.
We're so excited about that. But how do you see all of that public school education, all the time that you've taught? How do you see that as being something that's beneficial in this role?
Well, I think, an ability to obviously do research and look up some of the stuff that, I didn't have a working knowledge of. Organization, like that was one of the things that I had to do at school because, like I said, downtime was bad. So we had to things had to be done and had to be ready to go. And I think just being with people. So I primarily worked with fifth and sixth graders in the middle school the last couple years, or seventh, eighth graders the last couple years, but also adults. So working on a team if we were, our planning teams and then providing some staff development. So a lot of the things that I probably initially thought were not transferable skills really, really are. Like it's the same sort of thing, just a different topic.
And building relationships is such an important part of the way that you have lived, just in terms of like building relationships with kids and getting them to trust you and to follow you and to absorb all the things that were happening in the classroom. I mean, there's reciprocity in there that really is important. And then there's the potential that you're going to see some of your kids because we're in the neighborhood.
We're in their neighborhood.
So that's also a really great foundation for maybe even understanding what the community needs. I think you came in with a good grounding of the community in a way that is transferable to how we look at life in Gibson Village.
Yeah, for sure. I think as I was a teacher, I think relationships was probably one of my stronger suits. I don't know that I always taught you to pass a test, but we could, I do feel like I had a level of trust with my kids, and hopefully that will transfer over into what we're doing in the community because I think that trust is going to be important. We're going to have to earn that trust, just coming into a space that's ours but not ours. So we've got to be cognizant of that and really be listening to what the needs are and the wants are.
So we're working with a lot of different agencies. So we're looking at the city, and they have kind of a project on McGill that they are dreaming about. We're wondering how we can bring our resource of our kitchen and our facility into that mix. And then we're working with the NC State Extension Office to see how we can kind of get them to help us understand farming, farmers market, how we can do some education. And we're working with the Gibson Village Neighborhood Association. What are the needs? And so we're kind of working through all of this. And we're bringing to the table a really great resource of building. So we have this amazing commercial kitchen that is really in great shape. The gym, it has a new gym floor. It's just a really awesome space, and that's what we're bringing. And what we're hoping to do, our piece, our dream, our motivation is that we become a part of the community in a way that lifts people up. So we actually, our goal is to create community.
Right.
So as you're thinking about that, like, what are the things that you're like, oh, this is like so exciting, or this makes me nervous, or wow, this is an opportunity that I think that we have. Like, what does that stir in you when I say all those things?
Yeah, it is bringing a lot of people together. And I think that's exciting and scary at the same time because we don't know all the community members down there at this point, right? And there's likely a language barrier. There's likely a we don't look like one another, and so while that's a little scary, it's also exciting to be able to hopefully overcome some of that and just bring people together in a place that's safe for them to gather, for them to be who they are, and just be together. I think part of what I see, I know Rebecca and I were talking about like an ice cream social or something, like just some things out in the parking lot to maybe just get people to come in, a block party. I don't know what it all looks like yet, but just some things that are not necessarily churchy, not necessarily even meeting great needs, but just the idea
ice cream could be a great need.
Yes. Not needing, but the need to come together and know your neighbors and know who lives around you. Because when you know that, it's a safer place. Because when we start looking out for one another, and I don't know that doesn't already happen down there or in that community, but we can strengthen that if it does, and if not, hopefully help build.
Well, I think that kind of goes back to building those relationships of trust and reciprocity and holding the space well so that we can, whether it's happening there or not, we can be a bigger part of that and see how we can, give ice cream. It sounds wonderful. It sounds like a great start.
We do like ice cream. Yeah. And I think we've been down there some, right? We've been down there for school supplies. We've been down there for the gleaning, like giving out some free food and stuff. So there will be a little bit of a switch over. I'm sure we will still be doing some things. The Extension Agency has some great educational programs that I think that they want to do alongside and use our space for that. And so and that will be mostly free for the people. But some of it will be a switch, right? Because when you're coming to the farmer's market, the farmers are looking to sell their goods. So, we'll have to kind of make that transition that everything is we're not just giving, but we're trying to help. Because I think the hope, with the farmer's market is if you live in this community and you bring your stuff to sell, then your money's going back into your community and hopefully working toward breaking some cycles and things like that.
I'm very excited about that. It sounds
really
like
good.
It's going to be really good. So when you look back on this conversation in a couple years, what do you hope rings true?
I hope that community, and we keep saying it, but I hope that piece is there, right? Like that we build something that is sustainable, and maybe even sustainable if we weren't there all of the time. Like, yes, we want to continue to be a part of that, but I think truly if you build something that then can continue, that people take ownership in, that they feel like they're a part of, and you don't necessarily have to be the middle part there, right? Like it's just growing on its own. I think that would be exciting too.
That is exciting. And we do hope that everything that we do is sustainable and that it really can change the trajectory of the people that we're serving.
Absolutely.
And change us along the way too, because that's a really important part of it, to be open to that.
Yeah, to get to know people who aren't like us. And that's important. I don't think you can understand the world and the people around you if you only hang out with people. If I only hang out right here on Union Street at Forest Hill, then I'm missing out on a whole lot and I'm not learning all that I need to know.
Yeah, I think for me, I want to develop those relationships so I can understand what the needs are, so I can understand what resources I might have that could come alongside somebody or could be an advocate or could speak out in some way to help somebody. And I'm not going to know that if I'm not really doing that good holy work of being in deep community, not just present, but doing the work of relationship building.
Yeah, I keep saying you don't have to know all the things, you just have to know people who know things. And if we know people who know things and people who need things, hopefully we can make those match. And
that is what you're doing.
That's where we are, because I do not know the things.
But you're doing that good work of building those connections and doing the networking and calling the people and putting people in the right rooms together. And so I'm super excited about that and excited to see how that develops.
Me too.
And so we'll stay tuned. We will see how that develops. And we're really glad that you joined us today for this important conversation.